Kirk Cousins is a Falcon, and I royally screwed up. I think I'll just start off by saying I was wrong. I thought Justin Fields was going to be a Falcon for months now. I fucked up. So let's just put it out there. I'm going to own it. I'll probably put myself in a timeout during today's live show. Producer Cullen Brown may have to carry the workload for a little bit, but enough about me. Let's talk about Kirk Cousins, the 4-year, $80 million contract that has this fan base split. Let's talk about this through the lens of, is Kirk Cousins a good player? And then we'll get to, is he a good enough player for a 4-year, $180 million deal? Which I know that $180 million is going to stick out like a sore thumb. It's not really $100 million, but we'll talk about that in just a second. First, is Kirk Cousins a good player? I think he is a great football player. I think Kirk Cousins is a top 10 quarterback. I think he has shown over the last couple of years that he's only getting better and better almost by the season, aging like a fine wine, like a lot of quarterbacks we have seen in the NFL that have dominated towards the later portions of their career. Like Aaron Rodgers played his best football at 38, 39 years old. Tom Brady was better in his 40s than his 20s. So the age is a number that, sure, it's not a great number, 35 turning 36, but I still think Kirk Cousins can throw the rock and he can still play very good football and can still play at that high level that he was playing at the last couple of years. So I'll check the box on Kirk Cousins, good football player. I'm not here to argue that Cousins is good with people. If you don't think he's good, I think you're just sticking to 2017 and 2018 jokes about him not being able to win in primetime. And listen, I made my fair share of those jokes. That was 6 years ago. I think it's time we graduate from them. Now, is he worth $180 million? First, it's $100 million guaranteed. Now, $90 million of it is really guaranteed. $10 million is guaranteed in injuries. So you can look at it as a 3-year, maybe 2-year, $100 million contract. So you could get out after 2 seasons if, depending on how you structure the deal, you put some of the cap hits earlier on. May not play all 4 years, may play all 4 years. It has him going past his 39th birthday. So I'm not going to speculate whether or not Kirk Cousins will play good football in 3 or 4 seasons. Let's not get our crystal balls out just yet. But it's a big number. It's a intimidating number. And it's not one that I am in love with. Like, I don't think the Falcons got Kirk Cousins on a bargain deal or anything. Like, you are paying what you're getting for. And you are getting a legit starting NFL quarterback that can win you postseason games. That is something he has done before. Those quarterbacks don't hit the market very often. I mean, just think about the last few free agent quarterbacks that were good. Tom Brady, Peyton Manning. Colin, am I missing one? Like Phillip Rivers towards the end of his time? I think Kirk Cousins is at a better spot right now than Phillip Rivers was when he left the Chargers. What is there these guys just don't hit the market very often. So I'm not surprised that Atlanta paid big bucks for Kirk Cousins. 200 people watching already. Grade the signing, though. Enough about me blabbering up here. Let me know what you guys think. The live poll says A gets a 36% of the grade, B getting 41%. I give it a B+ grade. Was he my number one guy? No, he was not. I still think Kirk Cousins is a good quarterback. I think the Falcons found themselves in the quarterback market at a damn good time. What if they were looking for a quarterback last year? Like, remember, if everything was moved up a year or moved back, whatever. Desmond Ridder, Taylor Heineke, that was 2022. What were they going to do in the draft or free agency last year? Sign Jacoby Brissett? They had no real big options back then. Lamar Jackson was the biggest name, although I think all the owners colluded not to have their GMs pursue him. They were picking at 8. Who'd you want them to get? Will Levis, maybe? Okay. How many of you were on the Will Levis bandwagon last March? I don't see a lot of hands up right now. So grade the signing. I give it a B+. I give it a B+. I do think it's a big contract for a team that is a few pieces away still. Right? The New York Jets, when they got Aaron Rodgers, that defense was ready. That offense had Garrett Wilson and Breece Hall. Like, The Falcons have Drake London and Bijan Robinson and a great offensive line. That's it, though. They need more wide receivers. They need pieces on defense. They need pass rush help. They need a second starting corner. There are some needs on the interior defensive line as Grady Jarrett comes back from a torn ACL. So I have my fears of you paid a lot of money for the final piece of the puzzle, but there are more pieces to be solved. And if it doesn't work out, paying $45 million a season to a quarterback for a team that's just not really ready to be competitive, to do more than just compete for the NFC South. I'm not buying Kirk Cousins for $180 million to go 9-8 and win the NFC South. That's a disappointment in my eyes. But we'll have to wait and see. Now, more on this in just a second, but I do have to share with you guys some awesome information about our friends at Prize Picks. That is daily fantasy made easy. If you are looking to get the number one DFS in North America, look no further than Prize Picks, where all you do is pick 2 to 6 players and choose more or less on their projected stats. Then win big money and you withdraw your winnings like it is apple pie, simple as can be. Now, let's talk about what player selections actually look like. I'm giving you guys an example of my selections for the NBA. I'm going with the more on Luka Doncic. I don't know if you have seen this, but he's a walking triple-double right now, so I'll take the more on anything related to Luka. I also like the more on Cade Cunningham. Now, Prize Picks offers Demons and Goblins. Goblins are lower stat projection, so easier to get to, but not as lucrative of a payout. Demons are higher stat projections, not as easy to get to, but a much bigger payout. So these are my selections. Feel free to ride with me. Just download the Prize Picks app and use code CLNS. And when you do that, you're going to get a $100 deposit match up to $100. A deposit match up to $100. So download the Prize Picks app, go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS for a first-time deposit match up to $100. We do have some super chats flying in that we can catch up on here. Is Falcons Nation with a $2. What's going on, dude? Now trade for T. Higgins if you want wide receiver with round 1 pick. You're picking at 8. I think if you really want a wide receiver, you wait for Rome Odunze or Malik Neighbors. Plus, if you're trading for T. Higgins, you're also giving him a 4-year, $70 to $80 million contract extension. After paying Kirk Cousins, may not feel like that is the best move for Atlanta, although the cap's always a bit of a myth, and you can restructure deals and, spread money around to make it happen if your heart really desires it. However, I think if you want a wide receiver, Falcons Nation, just hang out at 8. Take Malik Neighbors or Rome Odunze, whoever's available at that spot. Trey Dukes, I was looking forward to something like this. You got to put on the clown makeup for the next stream after this. Nobody wanted a glorified running back at the QB position. Trey is calling me out on cap on my end because if you are just tuning into Falcons Today for the first time, beat the shit out of the drum that said Justin Fields was coming to Atlanta. Now, I didn't say it in the way of I have sources telling me. No, that was just I was predicting, and I predicted wrong. But yeah, Justin Fields, I don't know where he goes, guys. Not that we really care anymore because he's not coming to Atlanta, but I got no freaking idea where Justin Fields goes. Very curious to see. The Raiders make some sense, but their offensive coordinator is Luke Getsy. That was the Bears OC last year. Didn't work out great with Fields and Getsy. Does Minnesota call? Would Chicago trade him within the division? I don't know, Jim. Trey, there will definitely be some punishment that I'm going to self-serve because of this. We'll probably be on Thursday's show. So check back in then. Clown makeup's not a bad idea. Not a bad idea. Cullen, what's going on, dude?
I'm going to mute myself real quick. PD, appreciate you owning up to this one.
Yeah.
That was a tough one.
It's been a tough 2 months for me, and I've lost some street credibility.
A little bit.
Well, the issue is that I predicted Bill Belichick and I predicted Justin Fields. So 0 for 2. So not a good look, let's be honest. I do want to add, it wasn't like Bill called me or Justin called me, I'm coming to Atlanta, and I ran with the story. I just I read the tea leaves of everyone saying that, and I got suckered into it. I always get suckered into it. Like, if I really like it, I'm just going to convince myself of it. And I like both those possible additions. So I need a win. I will say, not Falcons related, I have nailed a couple of other free agency predictions. I said Christian Wilkins $110 million
You did.
on the dollar. And I said Bryce Huff to the Philadelphia Eagles. So I got those two. That helps. Trey, appreciate your super chat, though. Let's talk about Kirk Cousins, though. 273 people watching at the moment. Just 23 likes. If you haven't liked the video yet, make sure you do so. That way our stream can be shared to more Falcons fans all over. But NFL free agency is alive and well right now, so make sure you are subscribed to the channel. We have crossed 20,000 subscribers. And I know today's kind of a hectic day, so not really a moment to like pop out the champagne for yourself. And had it been last week, for sure. But hey, from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much to everyone who has subscribed. Like, I know this is a YouTube dialogue, but 20K is not a small number. So to have 20K of you guys rocking and rolling with us, that means the world to me. Like, every night before I go to bed, I'm on YouTube looking at the analytics. Like, that's just the way I am programmed. So thank you to everyone. If you haven't subscribed, please consider doing so. All right, let's talk about Kirk Cousins. I want to show some numbers. I want to run through some stats here because I am in the spot or the position of Kirk Cousins for $180 million is a lot of money. But that's the NFL. Unless you're drafting a quarterback, you're not finding one cheap. Like the Baker Mayfield for $4 million, great one-year runs, they're not very common. So I can stomach and accept if Kirk Cousins is good, then I'm not going to lose sleep over paying him $45 million a season when maybe you could have gotten him for 40. And no, if he plays well, then that's the contract. Like, that's okay with me. If he doesn't play well, then you're really in a pickle. But I can make peace with looking at the body of work over the last 4 seasons. I know the Achilles injury is concerning. Medical science has come a long way in just the last 15 years for athletes. And I'm optimistic that Kirk Cousins can kind of bounce back nicely from an Achilles injury. I've seen him working out. I've seen the videos of him rehabbing, and he looks good and whatnot. But then again, who doesn't look good working out individually in the offseason? But I am certain of this much. Kirk Cousins on the Falcons team last season would have been a whole lot better than 7-10, right? If Desmond Ridder and Taylor Heineke can combine for those numbers, and Kirk Cousins in 8 weeks can throw more touchdowns than they did all season, like there is some more work to be done on this Falcons roster. And I don't think inserting Kirk Cousins automatically puts you at beyond just competing in the NFC South, because I did not just sign Kirk Cousins, or Arthur Blank did not just sign Kirk Cousins to a $180 million contract to do what the Bucs did last year. Go 9-8 and win the division. The bar has to be much higher. 10, 11 wins, maybe even 12 for the contract you just gave out. And there are some other work and pieces to be filled, especially at the pass rusher position and at wide receiver. But if we're looking at Kirk Cousins as a quarterback, is he a good quarterback? Yeah, I'd say he is a good quarterback. We've shared this graphic a few times now, but I do like it. It's the blind quarterback resume over their last 50 games. And you can take a moment to think which quarterback of A, B, C, or D has had the best 50-game stretch. You might be surprised to see if you pick quarterback A, you're going to like your answer. It's Kirk Cousins. More touchdowns, fewer interceptions than Josh Allen and Matthew Stafford. Not very far off from Aaron Rodgers, right? Like 10 fewer touchdowns and a couple more picks. He's no Rodgers, but man, just going off the numbers, he's not very far off from it. So if you are getting great quarterback play, then I'm okay with paying $180 million. Like, I think you can win and be successful with a contract like that if the player lives up to it. Does that make sense? I don't think your franchise is doomed because you spent $45 million on one player in the season. There are plenty of examples of teams being successful with their quarterback having a big contract. You think Patrick Mahomes is playing for free? No, you got to pay these guys. And if they are good players, then I'm okay with it. So now the question becomes, is Kirk Cousins going to be a good player after the Achilles injury and turning 36? This is just the half glass full in me because I've always kind of been this way when it comes to sports, and I want to see the best in players and in the decisions teams make. But I think Kirk Cousins can play well coming off an Achilles injury. I think he can look like the quarterback that we've seen the last couple of years. And if he throws for 4,200 yards and 30 touchdowns and 12 interceptions, that is money well spent. If you can get the guy that has been there the last 4 or 5 years, you are in a great spot. Obviously, if he doesn't live up to that number, then you are in a very tough situation. But it's hard not to rub your hands together thinking about the Falcons offense with Kirk Cousins, Bijan Robinson, Drake London, Kyle Pitts. You go to the draft, you add a Roma Dunze, you add a Malik Neighbors, or you take Dallas Turner and then you turn to day 2 of the draft and you go wide receiver with pick 43 because you still have your 43rd overall pick after not making a deal for Justin Fields. Now, Kirk Cousins, this might surprise some of you. It's a big contract. It's not even top 6, actually. He's tying Patrick Mahomes, which, yes, he should not be being paid the same amount as Patrick Mahomes. I don't think that's a reflection of Kirk Cousins being overpaid. I think that's just Patrick Mahomes being dramatically underpaid. And this is how NFL contracts work every single year with real life inflation and then the cap going up. Players are always looking to reset the market. So Kirk Cousins at $45 million, I don't think is a gross overpay if you get what he's been putting out the last few years in Minnesota. That is getting what you pay for, right? It's not top 3 quarterback play in the NFL, but you're not far off from it. And if you can find what he was doing in Minnesota, you're going to be very happy with this contract. Some super chats to roll in and to catch up on. It's Complete the States, our friend across the pond. Oh dear, Petey. Oh dear, Rise Up UK. I don't think this is a bad signing. I don't think this is a move that in a few months we'll look back at and go, oh my goodness, what was Atlanta thinking? I do feel like if the thing that's holding me back from wanting to round the bases is I think they have other moves to make still. And if they make those moves, then I can be at peace with this a lot easier and sleep just fine at night. But if they don't fill out the pass rushing spot and they don't add some more wide receivers, then I think Kirk Cousins is finding himself in not a very different situation that he was in Minnesota, which is a good team, a competitive team, but not a team people are picking to win the NFC. And I don't think Arthur Blank made this signing to get to 9 or 10 wins. The bar is high. And Kirk Cousins is going to need, and I know you just paid him a lot of money, but he just can't quite do it all by himself. So I think this signing will be an easier signing to grade if I know what other moves Atlanta makes. Now, if you want to get on screen like Complete the States, you can super chat and we'll toss your question, your take, your comment on for everyone watching to see. Or you can use hashtag Falcons. Either way, producer Cullen picks his favorite hashtag Falcons questions, and super chats are like fast passes. You just skip the line and go all the way to the front. So enough of me blabbering on who should the Falcons sign next. Let's get you guys going in the chat right now. Who should Atlanta sign next? I'll start shouting out those of you that drop a name in the live chat, and we'll talk about that player or two. Trey with a super chat. Good to see you, Trey. Good to see you, man. Michael says Daniil Hunter. Maybe they could split like a U-Haul. I think they might have enough money to... The last time I moved, I was so cheap I didn't want to pay for movers. So I did it all myself. What an awful idea that was. Always go with movers, and more importantly, never move. I never want to move again. I'd never want to move again. I hated it. Okay. T. Higgins from Gavin, that would require a trade. You could maybe get T. Higgins for pick 43. And if that's the case, like, if T. Higgins went in this draft, he would be long gone before 43 overall. So I'd be very okay with pick 43 going to T. Higgins. Trey with a super chat. Petey, what's our cap situation after the Kirk signing? Could we still manage to get Danielle Hunter? I doubt over the cap has updated it. It's also hard to say because I don't know how Atlanta structured the contract. And that's important, right? No, we're not going to have an idea. They had $37 million coming into today in cap space. If you're signing Kirk Cousins, you want to backload the deal because his best years are going to be his first few seasons. So you may look to have a really low cap hit, huge signing bonus, something Arthur Blank would be more than happy to write. Maybe you get him at a $20 to $25 million cap hit in year one. I mean, you could go what the Browns have done and what the Eagles and kind of the Saints have done, which is do the minimum. Like, base salary year one, $2 million. As ridiculous as that sounds, backload the crap out of it. That's not a great idea, though, for a 36-year-old quarterback because if you do that strategy, you have a somewhat loose plan in place to eventually extend that player and then spread those kicking the can down the road cap hits out. That's not going to happen with Kirk Cousins. So let's say they put $20 million in a cap hit for him this year. You're down to $17 million. You may not be able to get to Danielle Hunter, although like Bryce Huff is gone, like Jonathan Grenard, a lot of the second-tier edge rushers have already been signed. So you're somewhat losing out on more of your affordable pass rushers if you can't go get Danielle Hunter. To answer their question fully, though, could you still manage to get Danielle Hunter? Unlikely. Like, not impossible. Definitely not impossible. But I wouldn't say it's a very simplistic thing to do. Who should the Falcons sign next? Let me know down below in the comment section. Who should Atlanta sign next? Anthony says re-sign Calais Campbell. I think that'd be a great move, and I bet Calais Campbell will be much more motivated to come play for this team with Kirk Cousins at quarterback compared to Desmond Ridder.
It's also been reported that Texans are signing cornerback Jeff Okudah.
Jeff Okudah to Houston.
1 year, $6 million.
Okay, Jeff Okudah. So Clark Phillips, as things stand right now, would be your starting corner. He kind of took over from Okudah at the end of 2023. So the question really is, do they trust Clark Phillips to be a starter, or what kind of competition do they want to bring in? Low-level free agent signing, medium-level, early draft pick. If the top wide receivers are gone at number 8, Terrion Arnold and A.J. Terrell would be a nasty secondary combination. Let's see. Gavin says Eric Armstead. I don't hate that idea. Had a really good year with the 49ers a few seasons ago. Has regressed since. But maybe a change of scenery and working next to some really good players like David Onyemata and Grady Jarrett. Not that he didn't have good workers next to him in San Francisco, but maybe kind of hit the reset button on his career-ish. Yeah. That's what I'm looking for. The defibrillator. It's like, whoa, wake up. Sherrick David? Sheik David? Sheik, what's going on, Mr. David? I'm okay with the Cousins signing even though I wanted Fields. I feel your pain, dude. What do you think about the Falcons going after Brock Bowers and or Ladd McConkey? I think Brock Bowers is a better tight end prospect coming into this year's draft than Kyle Pitts was. Now, that's real recency bias because it's kind of tough to remember how you felt about guys before they got to the NFL and after seeing them in the NFL. But I don't think they go tight end because I don't think they want to throw in the towel on Kyle Pitts just yet. Ladd McConkey in round 2, that could be a real possibility if they go Dallas Turner in round 1. I think Brock Bowers is going to have a phenomenal NFL career, and I think it's going to be with the New York Jets at pick number 10. David, thank you so much for your super chat. We got some more super chats flowing in. I want this to be a fun back and forth. So whatever thoughts or comments you have about the Kirk Cousins signing, super chat your way on screen or hashtag Falcons. Complete the states. Next one up. Oh dear believe me, I am well aware what your last super chat was talking about, dude. Aimed at your predictions, Petey. I like Kirk. We now own the South. What's your next big prediction? Third time lucky.
Third time lucky.
I'm on a cold streak. But let me ask you this question. Would you rather have like a pussy host that would never give an actual prediction, or a guy that's going to live and die by some predictions? Now, you might get some wrong.
Yeah.
Maybe you get one or two right. Next prediction. Oh, I feel like I got to do what I don't want to see happen. Because I don't want to say Danielle Hunter because that's not going to happen then.
I think your big prediction should be whoever number 8 is going to be. That should be your next one.
Big prediction. I do like that.
Number 8.
Yeah, you're right. Next prediction will be about pick number 8, which I think will be, and I actually do think this. I really do. I think it'll be Dallas Turner.
Okay.
I just think if you spend $180 million on the offense in free agency and you hire a defensive head coach, he's going to be full court press for getting an edge rusher, especially if you don't get a Danielle Hunter. So I'll go with Dallas Turner at number 8.
Can't wait for
That's not going to age well.
Can't wait for them to take Latu.
Yep. Keenan Melvin, what's going on, Keenan? Be honest, do you think this gamble on Kirk is a better gamble than Fields or a rookie? There are gambles on all these options, right? The Kirk Cousins gamble is not about whether or not he's a good quarterback. It's about whether or not he can bounce back from the injury and live up to the contract that prohibits you from maybe spending on other guys in free agency, which I do think there is this overarching fallacy of we signed Kirk Cousins for $45 million. Now we can't sign anyone else. You're under the impression that they were guaranteed to spend $45 million and they put all of it to one player. There's a very real chance that Atlanta goes, there's no one else we like for that much money. So if it's not Kirk Cousins, we weren't going to sign any of those other guys anyway because we don't like them. I think that gets forgotten sometimes of if a team spends $50 million on 2 players, that had they not signed those 2 players, they would have spent all 50 on other guys. I think there's a very real possibility the owner just goes, don't spend my money unless you've got a very good reason to do so.
Right.
We're not spending money for the sake of spending money. We're not spending $45 million because we have to. So if there's not a guy worthy of a good contract from us, just don't spend much at all. So just do file that in the back of your head. So gamble. Do you think Kirk is a better gamble? I do think so. If I had to predict between Kirk Cousins, Justin Fields, and J.J. McCarthy to have the best 2024 season, I'd go with Kirk Cousins. I have concerns about whether or not this team is ready to go win 10, 11, 12 games and win in the playoffs by just adding Kirk Cousins. I feel like they're a few more pieces away. However, Raheem Morris wasn't going to come in here and settle for, well, Petey thinks we're a few pieces away. Fuck that overweight YouTuber. I want to go get Kirk Cousins. And I don't think Arthur Blank is thinking, screw that Falcons Today guy. He says we're a few pieces away. Let's not sign a good quarterback. So no surprise the team feels like they are ready to go out there and win more than just 9 games, right? I think they got to make some more additions. I do.
I think Morris, what it was at the Combine that he said, if the Falcons had better quarterback play, I wouldn't be here.
Yeah.
They got the best quarterback that they felt like was available.
They definitely did. Like, if you had to pick
100%.
one quarter. Now, the other thing with, like, the gamble is your window is 4 years.
Exactly.
Had you gone with Justin Fields or a rookie and either quarterback blossomed, your window is 12 years. Like, you know what I mean? Like, right. You got a much longer runway. This is a 737 taking off from a very small runway in the Caribbean. There's not a lot of cushion on either side. This has to work. Has to work. Gavin, it's going to be crucial for the Falcons to get wide receiver, defensive end, and corner. All right, let's get some PD predictions out. Free agency, round 1 and day 2.
Okay.
Where do they satisfy those three positions among those three avenues? I think they go defensive end with 8th overall. And they go Arnold Ebiketie, Calais Campbell, Dallas Turner, and then another Bud Dupree level signing from last year. A 1-year, $6-7 million contract. Very low level, okay? I think they satisfy wide receiver in, I think they go free agency. You only have one guy. You can't pick 5 wide receivers in round 2. So I think you see them go and get a wide receiver in free agency, like a Darnell Mooney. Calvin Ridley's still out there, right?
Yeah.
Calvin Ridley, I guess, could be a name to watch for. And I think cornerback becomes round 3. And then pick 43 you leave as a bit flexible, depending on what loose ends you have after free agency. Okay. Those are my Percocets. Where do the Falcons go at 8 if we sign a defensive end plus a wide receiver? All right, let's play ball here. Let's say they don't get quite Danielle Hunter.
Right.
Who's another name? Bryce Huff is gone. Jonathan Grenard is gone. Let's say like Jadeveon Clowney.
Okay.
Zadarius Smith.
Yep.
Kind of a 1-year-ish rental. And they sign Darnell Mooney, or they sign Calvin Ridley. I think at 8, they could still very much be in play for a Dallas Turner, because a 1-year rental defensive end is not the long-term fix that Atlanta needs at pass rusher. Right. Terrion Arnold has been mocked to them before. That could be a very fun pick. Really strengthen that secondary. Terrion Arnold, Jesse Bates, A.J. Terrell. No-fly zone. That could be a possibility. Or, if everyone wants J.J. McCarthy, and he's sliding, do you trade back? Do you make a trade with the Vikings so they can go from 11 to 8 to get their Kirk Cousins replacement? And for falling back from 11 to 8, you pick up a 3rd-round pick. And now you have 4 picks in day 2 of the draft. That's exciting. That's exciting.
I wanted to ask you this too. Are you, when it comes to building defenses, front to back or back to front?
It's a good question. I think it's front to back. Yeah. I think you've got to find a way to disrupt the pass rusher. And I think the day and age of the Revis corners, their jobs are just impossible because of how talented and fast wide receivers are. So asking them to stick with them for a long time is not going to play out well over 60 minutes. But if you can force the quarterback to get the ball out of his hands quickly, then you might be able to stand a chance against some of these great wide receivers. So do you guys like the Kirk Cousins signing? Yes or no? Let me give some shout outs right now. Let's see what the people are saying. What did you say the nickname Kirk Cousins got was? Kirk Frost. Who was that? Quavo is saying that Kirk Cousins' nickname is Kirk Frost, which is probably the most Atlanta rapper nickname to give Kirk Cousins. I don't think anyone could come up with a better nickname than that. Danico Autry going to the Texans. Let's see. Any other signings going on here? Devin Singletary to the Giants. Yeah, how about that? That's nightmare fuel for the Giants. You lose Saquon Barkley, and he goes to arguably your biggest rival. That's a tough scene right there. That is a tough scene right now. The Bright Wolf is here. The Justin Fields run is a good one. It's over. It's over. You know what's not over? Our great deal over at Prize Picks. Give me 60 seconds to tell you all about Prize Picks, which is daily fantasy made easy. All you do is pick 2 to 6 players and then choose more or less on their projected stats. Now, if you're a little confused on what that looks like, we can actually give you an example of what some player selections would look like based off stat projections. So here are my selections. I'm going with the more on Luka Doncic at 33.5 points. I also like the more on Cade Cunningham at 24.5, which, by the way, just NBA talk for a second. How are the Pistons no longer the worst team in the NBA? The Wizards should be relegated to the G League for letting that happen. So these are my selections. If you like them, feel free to ride with them. Just do it at prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS for a first-time deposit match up to $100. I put that link for everyone in the comments and description of today's video. Prize Picks, daily fantasy sports made easy. So for anyone just joining right now, to kind of re-hit the news for a second here, Kirk Cousins, 4-year, $180 million. $100 million is guaranteed. So you can look at it as a almost 2-year, $50 million contract, where if it doesn't go well, you could get out after 2 seasons when he's 37 years old and look for a new quarterback then if you are finding yourself in like a Broncos Russell Wilson situation. But the difference is he gets $180 million over 4. Denver gave him a 5-year extension for $240, and Russell Wilson never played a snap on that 5-year extension. He still had 2 more years left on his Seahawks contract. So don't look at the 180 as if it sucks, we're screwed forever. If he's bad and if it's a disaster, you're screwed for 2 seasons, not 4. So just at least kind of store that in the back of your head. Me and Cullen were talking about this, and I want to get your thoughts on it. Is Kirk Cousins a top 10 quarterback? Cullen, let's count out the top 10.
Okay.
In no particular order.
Okay.
Just guys that are unquestioned top 10 quarterbacks for 2024.
Yeah.
If all the GMs got to redraft all the quarterbacks.
Yep.
Which 10 would be the first to go?
And you're talking about just for this upcoming season, not for...
Yep. Just for 2024, which ignore what the contracts are.
Right.
Let's do it. All right, ready? I'll go back and forth, ping pong.
Okay.
Patrick Mahomes.
Joe Burrow.
Josh Allen.
Justin Herbert.
Lamar Jackson.
See, this is where it gets tough.
And now we find ourselves at a bit of a crosshair. Let's put on the top 10 highest paid quarterbacks really quickly.
Yeah, I got you.
So we're at 5 so far.
Yep.
And now we are in the area of like there may be some debating to be had. In fact, I almost could have debated you on Justin Herbert because like.
Right. But I mean,
I agree.
I like Jalen Hurts, but he's had a down year this year.
You can make an argument that Kirk Cousins is
right.
not far off, if not far off at all, from Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, I mean, Stafford just won a Super Bowl not too long ago.
So there's Kyler, I don't think is a top 10, like, undoubted.
Yeah.
Where do you put Aaron Rodgers?
We haven't seen him healthy in like 2+ years.
Just missed all of last year, but he was kind of bad towards the end of Green Bay.
Yeah.
I think Aaron Rodgers is still top 10, but he's probably closer to 10 than 1.
Yeah, I'd say so too. I mean, coming off the Achilles, I mean, he does rely on his mobility a lot. So.
There's Tua, there's Dak. Like, you can make a very good argument Kirk Cousins is top 10.
It's true.
And if you want a top 10 quarterback and you're not going to find it in the draft, there's only one other way to really find one. And that's via free agency. Because no one's trading a top 10 quarterback away.
No.
So I turn the mic over to you guys. Kirk Cousins a top 10 QB? Let's finish our little draft off here.
Okay,
so we had Mahomes.
I went Burrow.
Allen.
I went Herbert.
Jackson. We're at 5 right now.
That's so tough. I'd probably go Aaron Rodgers. Yeah.
Okay, Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
We're at 6. I don't think Jalen Hurts is as good as people make him out to be.
That's fair. So it's your pick. So
I'm gonna go with. I feel like Kirk at 7 is not egregious.
It's debatable.
Like it's debatable, but like there's not a big margin between guys like Kirk, Tua, Jalen Hurts. Like they're not very far off from one another.
Because like Trevor Lawrence hasn't lived up to his.
I think I'll take Kirk Cousins over Trevor Lawrence. Again, this is for 2024 redrafting quarterbacks 1 season.
Wouldn't say Kyler. Stafford again without McVay. Like how would you evaluate that?
Yeah,
maybe?
Stafford probably. I think Kirk is. I think if you don't like Kirk at 7, fine, but he's not going much further past it.
Right. I mean, I think he's
somewhere between
his height
7 to 10.
Yeah, his height might be 7 or 8, but it's
Gosh, so
it's up there.
I understand it's a big number. I get that. I ultimately never have, like,
I'm really trying to think about this now.
I never have, like, buyer's remorse too much when it comes to the owner spending money.
Hold on. C.J. Stroud?
C.J. Stroud, how do you forget about him? Like,
Yeah, that's another
is he
one.
ready to be top 10? I don't.
That's fair. It's a rookie.
Now,
But
then
I'm
again,
throwing out a name.
yeah. No, I think C.J. Stroud would go before, like, I think he would go before Stafford in a redraft.
Yeah. No, I'd agree. I think he's on an upward trajectory where Stafford's
Yeah.
either maintaining or. That's
So,
interesting.
let's get some hashtag Falcons going. Let's see what you guys are asking or saying. Hashtag Falcons in the chat. We will jump into some of the comments being pulled from the live chat in just a second here. So, any questions you have, any thoughts, comments, concerns, ideas, hashtag Falcons, or if you want to skip the line, you can super chat as well. But let's see what the people are saying in the chat right now. Joshua Klein. Falcons should sign a pass rusher like Chase Young, Yannick Ngakoue, Marcus Davenport, or Romeo Okwara. All are all good picks. Davenport sucks. Yannick Ngakoue was awful last year, and he broke his ankle at the end of the season, which I can't shame injuries because I am somewhat in support of the Kirk Cousins signing, so you got me there. Chase Young, I got some attitude issues with Chase Young. Why did Montez Sweat go for more than Chase Young in a trade? When he's older, and I don't know how far apart the two were at the time.
And I watched him play, and Sweat
So,
looked like the better player.
I'm not interested in Chase Young. And I think Chase Young is actually going to see that in the market. I think he's going to get a one-year prove-it deal.
Yeah.
I think he's going to get a one-year, $12 to $15 million contract. Because I don't know if you're going to find a team willing to invest a long-term deal in him and just kind of see him go, oh, I got how much guaranteed? Deuces. So I think you may see a similar Bud Dupree signing and then Atlanta bank hard on Dallas Turner being at 8. Like, that is the plan. The whiteboard in Flowery Branch, sign Kirk Cousins. Done.
Check.
Pray to sweet Jesus that Dallas Turner is at 8. Question mark. I think that's the strategy right now for Raheem Morris and Terry Fontenot. Gunner, next one. If the Falcons trade their second, who do you think is a better prospect? L'Jarius Sneed, T. Higgins, or another? Excellent question, Gunner. If we're trading the second, I'd go T. Higgins. You got A.J. Terrell. You trade for L'Jarius Sneed. You're going to give him a big contract, and I'm not quite sure if that spells doom for A.J. Terrell in Atlanta. And I don't know if I'm ready to move on from A.J. Terrell. T. Higgins, I think, is awesome. He's from the Southeast, right? He's from the Knoxville area. So a bit of a homecoming almost for him, not very far from Atlanta. I think T. Higgins would be my priority trade target if we're using pick 43. Okay, next one up. What would be your dream at corner? How about like a Stephon Gilmore? That's not actually like a great dream to have, because my kind of dream is Terrion Arnold. I really have a huge crush on him. But I think they're going to go Dallas Turner at 8, so you can kind of rule out Terrion Arnold. And I don't think they should spend like a Kendall Fuller type contract. I think a one-year deal where you've got Clark Phillips and a vet on like a 1-year, $8-9 million contract can do wonders for the secondary. Like that, it doesn't take a ton of work like Kendall Fuller, biggest cornerback signing of the free agency period. I'd go like a Stephon Gilmore type route and let him, Clark Phillips, and another rookie kind of all battle for outside corner slot opposite of A.J. Terrell.
Can I ask you a question on that?
Fire away.
All right. Say they don't get anybody starting-wise.
Yeah.
For free agency. They're saying we want, say, Terrion Arnold at 8.
Yeah.
Arnold doesn't fall to him at 8. Say someone jumps him or something.
Okay, sure.
Who, day 2, would you like at corner?
Day 2 corner,
Yeah.
Ennis Rakestraw out of Mizzou. So he's missed a lot of time in college. And I don't want to go, I wouldn't take him round 1 for that reason. Right. I think a round 2 pick will be one of those picks where people look back at and go, why did he fall in the draft? Like, because he was hurt in college? But it's not college anymore. Right. So I think that's worthy of a 43rd overall pick. We could actually put the free agency tracker L3.
Okay. You want to do that?
Yeah, put that bad boy on like a loop and just
Okay.
kind of run through all the signings that have been made.
Okay.
That's how. Do you guys? I think you guys will like that.
Okay.
Let's
cool.
do that.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the one, and just kind of put that on auto loop.
Okay. I'm not sure how to do that, but I'll just kind of
Here,
through.
let me show you guys how the sausage is made for a moment.
Okay.
Go into the editor. Or no, other one, sorry. Next to it. Yep. Start auto loop.
Okay. Cool.
Okay. One last thing. Sorry, everyone. Click on the auto loop. Yep. And click that yellow right there. That bottom right one.
Got it.
There it is. Rusty Moore, my Michael Vick jersey got delivered today. Thanks, fellas. So happy to hear that, Rusty. I love it.
Yeah.
We got a.
Throw that on there.
Go to the auto loop again. There should be a timer.
Yep.
How many seconds is it at? Because this thing's fucking flying right now. Put it at like 10 seconds.
Let's see.
Should we start auto loop?
I'll put it at like 10.
Yeah, put it at 10. What was it, like 3?
It was at 5.
Yeah, we're just spitting through this thing. Okay. Rusty, sorry. Awesome to see that the Michael Vick jersey came in today. Hope you enjoy it, man, and appreciate all the support you've shown us here at Falcons Today. Okay. Rusty's a real one for sure. So, no, just keep the auto loop thing going.
No.
Rashard Clark, what's going on?
Yep.
How much is the contract? Oh, I see what you're doing now.
Yep.
It's a 4-year, $180 million contract. I bit my producer's hand, and he was trying to help me out. So, Derek Carr, these are some old ones.
That's the one it's going through, though.
Derek Carr signed a new contract or something?
Oh no, I see what happened. Hold on.
Okay, hold on. We got some graphical issues.
Yep.
We're going to fix the things on screen. We're going to get the right things flying around here. Rashard, appreciate you. Rashard, appreciate your question and your super chat too. How much is the contract? 4 years, $180 million with $100 million guaranteed. Any other questions or super chats you guys have, we'll throw on screen. I'll kind of toss out one more time my thoughts overall on the signing. It's a complex signing, but on the surface level, you got to click the yellow thing at the bottom right every time you unclick the eyeball on it. Surface level, I like the signing. I think you got the best quarterback possible for 2024. And it is very clear and evident that is Arthur Blank and Raheem Morris's goal. They weren't looking to continue a project quarterback via rookie or Justin Fields. Now, I think Justin Fields still has a really high career upside, but I think that if we're looking at through the lens of what can you do best for this upcoming season alone, that's it right there. So I like the signing. The number 180 is scary. Hit the yellow thing at the bottom right. But it shouldn't be as scary as you think it would be because $100 million is guaranteed. So I look as a 2-year, $50 million. The yellow bottom left, bottom right.
Yeah. No,
Auto push to pull.
Yeah, it's on. I just clicked it off, turn it back on again.
Okay. I can't figure out why it's doing it without looking back there. We got Ty Man the Buckeye here.
Shout out time.
Ty Man the Buckeye. Let's go. Here, turn like the eyeballs and then start it all over again in the process. And have auto push to pull. The great TX Hollywood Brown could be a great signing. Yeah, Marquise Brown I think would be a fun signing for the right price. I'm not the click the yellow. I'm going bananas over this thing. We have a little fun ticker at the bottom that updates all the signings. There it is. And I want to automatically come on screen if you guys are curious. So that's all. And put it 10 seconds.
Yep.
I'm going to lose my freaking mind.
It's
I'm sorry, the Great DX. I stole all your airtime. I would be okay with the Hollywood Brown signing. Him with Drake London. That would be a very fun tandem, especially with the bit of yin and yang in terms of like speed with Brown and strength with London. Lucid Love Society, from a Vikings fan, thank you, Atlanta. What are you guys doing? You say thank you as if Sam Darnold is going to do anything? I would much rather have Kirk Cousins for $180 million than Sam Darnold on a 1-year, $4 million contract. I know that the page disparity is ginormous, but you want to be good or do you want to suck? I prefer being good. Just my 2 thoughts. Henry, trade a star player with the first pick instead of drafting like the Eagles did with A.J. Brown. Keep in mind the Eagles weren't picking top 10. And that's an important fact, right? The Eagles were picking, I think, 20. So if the Falcons were picking 20, I'd be much more inclined. At top 10 pick, you're trying to find the next A.J. Brown and get him on a cheap rookie contract. So I would be very hesitant to trade number 8 for a player. I would only do it. Who's yelling?
I don't know.
Someone's screaming in the studio next to us. I would only trade pick number 8 if you got a player and that team's first round pick back. Like, for example, the Bengals. I think they're picking 20 or 21. Oh, no, they're picking
18.
7. They're picking 18? Yeah.
18,
Fall back 10 spots and get T. Higgins. And for the Bengals, they get to move up 10 spots and get Rome Odunze. Feels a little bit like a win-win for everyone. That could be a fun one to keep an eye on. Yep. Okay. Josiah Ortiz, who is the best free agent wide receiver we can sign? I say Tyler Boyd. I think you can do better than just Tyler Boyd. I like Darnell Mooney more, though, for what it's worth. But at wide receiver, Gabe Davis is gone. Calvin Ridley is the biggest name on the street right now. So would Atlanta ever want to do a reunion? Would he ever want to come back to Atlanta? Kind of very hesitant to say yes to either front. Best free agent wide receiver, Calvin Ridley. Hollywood Brown, I think, would be a much more in-the-middle option where you're not going to pay as much as you would. Well, actually, I'm curious to see who gets more money, Ridley or Brown. I'm thinking Ridley, although Brown's got the age factor by a long shot. So I think if Hollywood Brown gets like what Christian Kirk got, remember when he left the Cardinals? I don't want Atlanta being the team that pays him that. Oh, and Loveridge. Is it at 10 seconds still?
I think so. I'll double check.
Double check. It's like firing across. Falcons, how much cap is left? It's kind of impossible to say. I don't know how they structured his contract yet, and that's likely going to take a little bit of time to get out. Let me see if there is a number on how they have structured his contract yet. Who's yelling?
I didn't get track.
We have one cue. I think it's Smitty.
Never.
Okay, sorry. Oh, by the way, the Falcons signed a tight end as well. I got really caught up in the Kirk Cousins. They signed a backup tight end, Charlie Werner, 3 year, $12 million. He's a run blocking tight end. He's going to be the tight end 2 or 3 on this team. So there's that as well. Probably should do my job and mention that and not just get caught up in the Kirk Cousins sweepstakes. But yeah, there's that to go along with it. Owen, the Falcons came in today with $37 million in cap space. I really can't say how much they have because I don't know how much they are putting in as cap hit for year 1. So it's just difficult to gauge, but I would say the first year cap hit, they may structure it to be really low so they can continue to spend and build around Kirk Cousins. It could be as low as like $10 million in year 1. Just keep an eye on it. Carson, next one up. Trade a second for Higgins or Snead, re-sign Campbell, trade back our first to Minnesota for extra capital, draft Dallas Turner or Terrion Arnold at 11, depends if we get Snead, draft Brendan Rice and Rattler in 3rd. Dude, Carson, you kind of had me every step of the way up until the last step. Trade a second for T. Higgins or L'Jarius Snead. I think both those teams are going to be searching for a first, but maybe they don't get one. So let's just say you can't get them for pick 43, all right? Resign Calais Campbell. Check, I'm in. Trade back our first to Minnesota for extra capital and get Turner or Terrion Arnold at 11. I'm in. Draft Brendan Rice out of, USC and Jerry Rice's son. may I swap that with Xavier Legette? I really like Xavier Legette out of South Carolina. I think Brendan Rice is getting a little bit more love because of his last name than anything else, but he's still a very good football player. And I hate Spencer Rattler, so no. Can't stand Spencer Rattler.
Wonder why that is, BD.
Cannot stand Spencer Rattler. Cannot stand him. Chris, what's going on? Probably doesn't matter anymore, but do the Jags get a comp pick for losing Ridley? It depends on how much money Jacksonville spends in free agency and how much money Calvin Ridley gets. So if you let a player go in free agency and they sign a 1 year, they sign a $50 million contract, and then you yourself in free agency spent $45 million, the NFL is not going to award you a compensatory draft pick. But if Calvin Ridley goes out and signs a 4-year, $70 million contract, Jacksonville wouldn't get a comp pick unless they spent no money. And then maybe they could get up to a third. You don't get comp picks if you cut a player, but they didn't cut Calvin Ridley. So the Jags could get a comp pick depending on how much they spent. Can you see where that thing is pulling from?
Yeah.
Because I think it needs to be updated.
Also, thank you for your super chat, Chris.
Yes. Oh, Chris in the super chat. F me. Shout out to you, Chris. Thank you so much. I kind of get lost in the super chats first. Hashtag Falcon Cycle. Shame on me. Chris, thank you so much for your super chat, dude. Really appreciate you supporting the channel like that.
I think it's just going through all of them since,
I know, but I'm seeing the same, 20 repeat. There have been more signings. I haven't seen Kirk Cousins pop up in the bottom once. We got Ruben Diaz. What's going on, Ruben? If we take Turner at 8, who do we target in round 2? I would think wide receiver. I would think wide receiver in round number 2. You've only got one, Drake London. So that to me seems like the most likely outcome if they go Dallas Turner in round number 1. 300 people watching right now. If we want to hold on to the studio space, because I am looking at a Slack right now saying I got to get going, we need some more super chats. If we get super chats, then the rules of Chat Sports are you do not have to leave your studio. But if you aren't getting super chats and there are other people that need the studio, you get the boot. So if you want to keep Falcons Today live, then make sure to consider super chatting so that we can keep the studio space to ourselves. Now, I do want to really wrap up by at least saying a quick shout out to our friends at Prize Picks. If you are looking to get the #1 DFS in North America, get started at Prize Picks today. When you download the Prize Picks app, all you do is choose 2 to 6 players and then pick more or less on their projected stats. If you're a little curious what that looks like, here's an example for my selections. I'm going with the more on Luka Doncic because you should always take the more on Luka right now, along with Cade Cunningham as well. So if you like these picks, feel free to ride with me at prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS for a first-time deposit match up to $100. I put that link in the comments and description of today's video. Shout out to Prize Picks for supporting us here at Falcons Today and at Chat Sports. Okay. Kind of wrap up the show here unless we get another super chat. I got somewhat interrupted when I was giving my overarching thoughts on Kirk Cousins to put a bow on it. I like the signing. I do. I don't love the signing. I don't think it's an absolute home run, A+ signing. It's a lot of money when I still feel like this team has more pieces to fill. But if they fill those voids at wide receiver and edge rusher and corner, this is a team with the right man at the wheel ready to roll. But if they feel like we've done our part, we've signed Kirk Cousins, we can kick back and throw our feet up, I don't see how this team is going to be much different than a lot of the Vikings teams that somewhat underachieved the last few seasons. So, I reserve my full grade on the signing until I see other moves that are made by Atlanta. But surface level, it's a B+ signing in my book. I'm not too caught up on the figures. I can make peace with the Achilles injury because I kind of have to because it's very real right now. He is a Falcon, and hopefully he'll be ready to roll come week 1 off an Achilles injury. It's going to be tough learning a new playbook, a new city, a new team, and not being able to practice for a potential stretch because of the Achilles injury. And that's definitely something that keeps me at a B+ instead of an A. But I'm willing to be an optimistic guy about he'll be caught up to speed. He'll be ready to roll. He's a pro. He's been around the block for quite some time. And we will see him hopefully pick up where he left off in Minnesota. Okay. Some other signings, by the way. Geno Stone to the Bengals. 2-year, $15 million. Thought he'd get a bit more. Mike Ford going to the Texans. 2-year, $45 million. Did I see Xavier McKinney as a Green Bay Packer? Xavier McKinney is a Green Bay Packer. Okay. We're at $44 in Super Chats. Can we wrap up with $50? Who wants to be the MVP of today's show and top us off with a 10-piecer to get us to a nice 5-4 on the Super Chat count? If the Falcons only sign one more free agent, who do you want to see them sign? Not someone on the team last year. Grover Stewart back in Indy. I would say if they could only sign one more free agent. And Hollywood Brown sounds pretty good right about now. Wouldn't you say? I guess the real answer, I think, would be Danielle Hunter. Gardner Minshew to the Raiders.
Yeah, that's it.
No way.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll go with Danielle Hunter. I think that would push this team over the edge. You'd have the two big needs for this offseason fulfilled. And then you get to go to all wide receiver in the draft. Could you imagine if you got to go Rome Odunze and like Ladd McConkey or Xavier Legette or another guy, A.D. Mitchell, Xavier Worthy, whoever's available at 43? That's a really fun wide receiver room. That's a fun wide receiver room. Or trade for T. Higgins, yeah. We'll definitely be talking about that throughout the week here. All right, well, Saquon Barkley to the Eagles, 3 years, $37 million. What's the math on that?
That's 12 and a half.
12 and a half. Trey with a $10 super chat to put us off into the sunset on top. Shout out to you, Trey. Shout out to you, Trey. Trey with a 10-piecer. Put that on screen for you in just a second here, Mr. 1222. Can Atlanta afford anyone else? Nathan, yes. Like, they can restructure contracts. They can free up cap space. They can spend more if they really, really want to. Remains to be seen whether or not they do have that goal or aspiration. Trey, shout out to you. Still loading for some reason. And we had some fun signings go down while we were live here. I can't believe Gardner Minshew's a Raider. Trey with a $10 super chat. Would you pick at number 8 or trade back? Maybe to Vikings. I think you've got to trade for the Vikings. I think you have to do this. You have to trade with the Vikings for one reason. The NFL world needs to know who got it right. Was it picking a quarterback at 8, like J.J. McCarthy, or was it going with Kirk Cousins? This gives both teams complete closure. They have to make this trade. Go from 8 to 11 for like a 3rd and a 5th. Have to do it. The NFL needs to see this so we can have a true scientific study. Which team made the right decision? I wonder if the Vikings are too afraid to do this so that they can't be proven wrong. Must do. Must do. Kirk, you are an Atlanta Falcon. I am a clown. I should probably end with that for saying Justin Fields is a Falcon. You live and die by the predictions, and I'm dying right now. Hopefully I get the Dallas Turner at 8 number right. But we will sign off here. Trey and everyone else that super chatted today, thank you guys for going above and beyond and supporting the channel. We'll let you guys get back to the rest of your day. I want to leave you with this. You should be happy about this signing. You got the best possible quarterback for 2024. I still think he's got great quarterback play left in him. $180 million is a lot of money, but I would look at the $100 million guaranteed. And if it doesn't work out after 2 years, you can probably get out of it relatively easily. And the only thing you wasted, which is valuable, is time. And I understand that's a tough thing to waste. It's like the worst thing to waste. But I do think this is an overall good signing for Atlanta. We will let you guys go and Talk about this with your friends, your coworkers. Tell them to subscribe to the channel if they're not already. We crossed 20K. Thank you to everyone who has joined Falcons Today.